911, what's the location of the emergency?
The high wire, up pyramid fell.
Where are you exactly, sir?
The Circus Town behind University Town Center Mall.
We need multiple ambulances for an emergency.
There was 8.
Okay.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4 on the ground right now. I have one bleeding from her ears, her nose, and her mouth.
Okay.
Her face is extremely swollen. It's bad.
I broke every single bone in my face. I just started praying because I was like, okay, I'm gonna die. My name's Lijana. I come from a long line of circus performers. My great-grandfather, Carl Wallenda, he was a hand balancer, and he answered an ad in the newspaper in Germany looking for a person that would do handstands on people on top of a high wire. It was a high wire troupe. Answered the ad, got the job, and fell madly in love with wire walking. And the rest is just history. 4 generations later, we're still walking the wire. I started performing professionally up high when I was 13 years old, and the bug just bit me. I just fell in love with it, and I've never turned back. My family has had lots of tragedies. In 1962, they were doing this 7-person pyramid in Detroit, Michigan, and the pyramid fell. My grandmother watched her husband fall to his death. A cousin of hers fell to his death, and my great uncle Mario was 18 and he fell and was paralyzed for life. And then I've seen the footage throughout my childhood of my great grandfather walking a cable between 2 high-rise hotels in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and he fell to his death. I'd always been told about these tragedies, and I knew they were real, but it was just like, yeah, okay. In 2017, I went down to Florida to join my brother's high wire troupe. We were about to do an 8-person pyramid on the high wire. We were gonna break our own world record. We were gonna do the same pyramid, but at a higher height. And it was the last day of rehearsals before the show was to open. And it felt great. I remember saying out loud, guys, this feels great. And then out of nowhere, I got hit with this jolt, and it was nothing I'd ever felt in my life on the wire. And I remember falling back on my training and being like, okay, I have to be as solid as I can because I have a bar on my shoulders that's holding 2 layers of people above me. And I remember trying to stay solid on my balancing pole, going up and down, and then it went up and it pulled me off the wire. I remember thinking on the way down that I'm a mom, I have a 5-year-old little boy, I gotta be able to carry him around. I broke my left calcaneus in my heel, my left humerus, I have a long plate and 9 screws in there, broke ribs, lacerated my liver, punctured my right ear canal, but the big one was every single bone in my face. Everything from here down was just broken. It's a miracle all of us survived. I remember arriving to the trauma unit and then it kind of goes blurry. The next thing I really remember vividly was waking up in the middle of the night. I didn't remember that they had put a trach tube in. My jaw was wired shut. I had a feeding tube. I had no idea when I woke up. And I saw my mom was sitting there and I was like, Mom, and nothing would come out. But that moment I thought, I'm not breathing, they're not listening to me, I'm gonna die. And I just started praying because I was like, okay, I'm gonna die. That was the most terrifying part of the whole experience for me. I could have easily retired wire walking. I have this great job at Absinthe designing wardrobe, and that would have been perfectly acceptable. Yeah. My brother called me and said, hey, I have another TV special coming up. I'm gonna walk across Times Square. I was like, cool. And he goes, do you wanna do it with me? I was like, I paused for a second. I was like, oh, yes, of course. This is like my passion. Of course I want to do this. And I was so excited. And I started training here in Vegas on my low wire in the backyard. I would do laps back and forth and back and forth. And the time came for me to go down to Florida to train. And that was the first time that I was going to get on a wire of any kind of height. It was 15 foot high. That PTSD hit me. It was all the memories of the accident coming back. It was doubting myself. It was thinking that I guess I'm not a good wire walker. I fell. Can I really do this? What am I thinking? Why am I doing this? And one of those passes, I was walking and my mind started to wander. And I realized, oh my goodness, my mind's wandering. I'm not gripped with this fear right now. And I started to remember how much I love the weight of the balancing pole in my hand, and I love the way the wire feels sliding across my foot. And tears were streaming down my face because it was so emotional. And I got into that other platform, and one of our riggers was up there, and he goes, "What's wrong?" Because I was crying. And it was, this is honest to God, blurted out, I forgot who I was. It was such a turning point in my recovery. I come from a long line of very good wire walkers. I'm a very good wire walker. And that's when I knew I was ready for Times Square. When I first arrived the day before, my brother suggested that I don't climb out on the edge and look. And I thought, yeah, he's probably right. So I didn't look at it until right before I started the walk. So I remember looking off the edge, and it looks way higher when you're up there looking down than when you're down looking up, let me tell you. It was, it's crazy. It seems crazy. You question it for a second, but I remember how hard I trained. I remember how far I've come. I remember all the tragedy that I'd been through, all the bruises and the sore muscles and the mental determination it took to get to the point that I was at. And I take that first step, and the first step's the hardest. And the next one's still pretty darn hard, right? But then you keep taking those steps, and each step it gets a little easier. And by the time I was out at the middle, it was just home. I went from being on the brink of death to going on to doing this walk across Times Square that no one else had ever done before. Man, oh man, am I thankful that I pushed through, because if I didn't, I would never know that I could have done it. I wouldn't be living to my full life's potential. And I think so many of us do that. We let those little pieces of us that are stripped away, those little fears that are put in us that just kind of, we live with it, we sit with that, right? But I think it's so important to push past that fear and remember who you are, remember what you're capable of. My son Gavin is 12 years old. When he saw me walking across Times Square, that's when he really wanted to learn to walk the wire. Gavin practices now and then. He's not serious about it yet, and I don't make him. You have to really love it. It is terrifying at times, and it does take a lot of dedication and training and hard work and bruises and sore muscles and all of that. So you have to really love it, and I would never force him into doing that. So I am a 7th generation member of the Walenda family. Gavin would be 8. He's young, we'll see, but I absolutely would love it. So I'm writing a book about my story. You know, it's gonna tell about my childhood and my family and how I grew up. But my main hope is I want it to almost be a self-help sort of book. I think the biggest positive thing to come out of the accident is that you grow so much as a human being, and you realize how strong you really are and what you really are capable of. I came from a place where they didn't even know if I'd live, walk again, any of that, and kind of broke through all those barriers of all that fear and lies that were in my head after the accident. My hope is that people see that and they say, if she can do it, I can do it too. Whatever their fall is to get over.
If you love circus and want to see more, check out the next episode of Circus Town, and please subscribe so you never miss a trick.